you could see my inflammation markers go down right away. It was like automatic, literally. As soon as I started putting the right things into my body and into my mind, I started changing. And the doctors could see it. It was like literally the science was right there for anybody that like doesn't just believe like the testimony. Literally the science is there to back the fact that everything in my body started changing.
Well, thank you so much, Emily, for joining us. It's a pleasure. We've got you here with us today, and thank you for taking the time to share your story. Appreciate you.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you guys for healing me and helping me.
So, Emily, we really just want to give anybody who's listening to this kind of a story on where you were at, what you experienced, what the process was like, and where you are now. So tell us, take us to the time when we met. You called me and we spoke when you were in the hospital. You had been in there for a few days, 17 days.
Yeah, tell us why you were there.
Exactly.
So I was in the hospital it was a total of like 23-ish days, but when I had called you, I believe I was on around my 16th day in the hospital. And I was, oh my God, I had so many crazy symptoms. I mean, I had just gotten a blood transfusion. I got diagnosed with a disease called ulcerative colitis. I was literally not eating. I had lost, I believe, 25 pounds. I was just very malnourished, very sick, and just not in a good place health-wise whatsoever. And that's when I called you guys, because I found you on Instagram, and I think it was literally just a message from like the universe, because it was just perfectly placed there for me to get in contact with you guys. And yeah, I was not in a good place at all.
So ulcerative colitis, for people who don't know what that is, can you kind of just explain what the symptoms are, what it feels like, and what it actually is?
Of course. So I actually didn't even know what it was when I first got it. And it was through a lot of research that I learned a lot of things. But for me, my first symptoms were sort of like the regular ones that people tend to get: a lot of stomach pain, a lot of bloating. It's almost like everything you eat upsets your stomach. Blood in your stool is like a big, big symptom that is a huge sign that you definitely have something wrong. So yeah, I believe those are some of like the main symptoms that I had. And it was rough, especially because I had what the hospital called a flare-up of ulcerative colitis, which basically means when you're like at your worst with the disease. So yeah.
And so when I met you, you said that not only were they talking about coming in and operating on you, right? That the infusions and all this crazy stuff that they were pumping you full of was essentially not working. Can you kind of explain what that experience was like?
Yeah, so the surgeons would come into my room every single morning at 5 in the morning to tell me that they were going to remove my colon and that I was going to have a bag on me for a few months. And it was this whole like crazy 3-step procedure. And yeah, they would tell me that every single day because they said that they didn't really have much hope for anything else working. And they had already tried which is one of the strongest infusions possible, if not the strongest infusion possible for what I have, that according to them helps people. And like they've literally tried everything, because they tried doing all these medications and steroids and all these things, and nothing was really getting it under control. So they basically said that surgery was like what we were gonna have to do.
And so ironically, when I remember speaking to you, I was like, so by the way, because, obviously the colon has to do with your digestion, and inflammation is the main key factor here with disease, right? And they want to pump you full of these meds to get your inflammation down, right?
They were also feeding you steak, right?
Oh my God, yeah. They were feeding me steak. and they wanted me to eat chicken and all these things that were available in the hospital. And it was like rice and potatoes and all these sauces and like
all the inflammation you need just for your colon.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just like, okay, so you guys are giving me all of these medications, but then you are feeding me all of these terrible foods. It's like I'm bound to stay here.
Yeah, ding ding.
Ding 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 ding.
That's what they want, right? Yeah.
But honestly, what was your perspective in that? Because, you know, when I hear these things, it makes kind of my blood boil sometimes, because these are the doctors who are meant to guide you and protect you. Yet on one hand, they're saying they want to reduce your inflammation, but they're feeding you these things. Did you ever speak to the doctors about this and how that just doesn't make sense?
Yeah, so I don't mean to put anybody on the spot, which is why obviously I won't say
no names.
I know,
no
yeah,
names.
I'm like, I won't say any names or where I was staying or anything of the sort, but I did bring that up. I brought it up to one of the doctors that were in the hospital, and I said, hey, it is very, very ironic and hypocritical that you guys are trying to heal something, but literally giving me all of the tools that do the opposite of healing. So once I brought it up, the doctor literally said that she knew that that wasn't going to be helpful, but that it was a whole system and there was nothing she could do about it, that even she herself has tried bringing it up to the board, and it's just like a whole thing. And she was like, we can't really make specific meals for what everybody has, so we kind of just have to go with the basic thing. And I was like, oh,
we
so
feed you cattle food.
Got it.
Wow. So on one hand, they're trying to reduce your inflammation by pumping you full of these heavy injections and infusions, and then they're feeding you inflammatory food. And then when you don't respond to the medications, what was their excuse? Was it the fact that their process wasn't working, or was it you?
So basically they kept blaming it on me, because at first it was like, oh, this is working and we are seeing some results and inflammation going down. But of course, if I'm still eating all these terrible things for you, because I have nothing else, because I'm in a hospital, so I'm eating the food that they're giving me. So it's more so like, okay, things are working, but obviously it's not going to end up working because I'm not doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing, because they're not telling me what I'm supposed to be doing. That actually helps. So once that was happening, they were just like, okay, well, clearly your body isn't responding to things properly. So I was like, okay, so it's my body's fault. Got it.
And this is the typical line in kind of the Western field, that if what we prescribe to you doesn't work, then clearly it's you.
Your problem.
It's your fault. And so there's not a lot of accountability, which is a shame. However, you turn that
it
around. So when we came in there, we started first with an emergency diet, obviously, to fix the symptoms. And just for people who are listening, we approach extreme situations like this on two different levels. One is we've got to look at what's going into the body. And then two, once you're in safe zone, we have to look at really the emotional causes to why the ulcerative colitis even came. So let's start with one. We were able to get you out of the hospital quick. What took place? What was your experience like with that?
So as soon as I started with you guys, we kind of, like you said, we did a little bit of an emergency attack plan. So thankfully I had my mom and my sister Carla, which, you know, could bring me the things that I needed, like the juices and all of the natural soups and broths and all of these things that ultimately was what really, really helped me. So I also started doing the meditations every morning along with my affirmations, the meditations from you guys. And that was helpful because it was putting me in like a more positive state of mind, which in my opinion helps your body a lot. It just sort of helped me vibrate at like a higher frequency. So I think that was also helping me a lot. And yeah, once I started actually, well, not eating because we were doing liquid stuff first. So once I started drinking the things that I was supposed to be drinking, I could tell the difference, and the doctors could tell the difference. And even themselves were like, what are you doing? And I was like, that's what I thought.
They should teach this stuff in high school, honestly.
They should teach this to the doctors. It's called basic nutrition, and no one takes it. It's wild. It makes me so mad.
Yeah, my best friend was telling me that while I was in the hospital, and I was explaining to her the things that I was doing and the things that I was literally healing myself with all these tools. And she was like, it is crazy that these doctors go to school for 10 plus years,
Yes.
yet they cannot get it together.
I see people, doctors and nurses right now, that are drinking Coca-Cola and eating meat all the time and then going back into their hospital wards. And it's like, it's mind blowing. So you felt amazing after you started the diet,
Right away, you
or
could see
detoxing from the hospital diet.
literally.
Okay.
You could see my inflammation markers go down right away. It was like automatic, literally. As soon as I started putting the right things into my body and into my mind, I started changing. And the doctors could see it. It was like literally the science was right there for anybody that like doesn't just believe like the testimony. Literally the science is there to back the fact that everything in my body started changing.
Yes, absolutely.
Bless you.
And you got that science, right, girl? Hold on to that.
Yeah, I got all the proof.
Good. Now, we're not knocking all doctors. I know that there's a lot of amazing things that Western medicine can help with. It is just crazy that there are these very common circumstances and basics that they're ready to operate you on and cut out your organs, yet all it takes is really just changing your diet and then really looking at the emotional causes. But that's another story.
I don't want to say that like, oh, Western medicine is this terrible thing, or oh, doctors are this terrible thing. I just think that there's a lot of tools that we could have and that we could be taught that will help us heal a lot of different things that we kind of just want to fix with either all this medication or surgeries or all of these things that could be avoided if we were to go a different route.
Yeah, like you could have lost your colon.
Literally.
For real though, for real. So with that being said, I mean, you are, you've got your career on the rise and you're in the hospital with them saying you're going to cut your colon. What does that feel like? I mean, can you just talk about the emotions that you were feeling and going through?
Yeah, that was a really, really rough time. I mean, I was honestly in a terrible state of mind because stuff like this could really change your life forever. And especially when you have, like, I was supposed to be doing ADR. I was supposed to start filming a show, like, literally right after the hospital, if not right while I was in the hospital. Like, I was already supposed to be working. So obviously, getting told these things every morning, because they were coming in to tell me this every single morning. So getting told these things obviously puts you in a terrible state of mind. Like I was not positive whatsoever. It took me meeting you guys and doing my meditations and doing my affirmations to be able to bring myself back into the positive person that I usually am, because being in the hospital in that environment and the doctors being so, I hate to say it, but negative, it was just not helpful at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, you know, as people who are meant to take care of our health, we have to be focusing on the impacts that we have upon the people that we work with, and the mind, the body, and the spirit are all so incredibly important. So we got the biology right. You got out of the hospital in a few days after that, right?
Yeah, I got out of the hospital. I believe it was like 4 or 5 days after I started the regimen.
He was screaming. He's like, "She's out! She's out!"
We had to come in and jailbreak you. I feel like they were coming in with their knives and their scissors, and we're like,
jail.
Get her out!
Gosh.
So we got you out into your beautiful palace of light that you're in
And
now.
you're only how old? You're 22?
I'm 22. Yeah.
Yeah, you should keep your colon
for
a little longer.
Probably a good thing to have.
I'm so proud of you.
And so now let's get into the real stuff, because what caused this to begin with, and I think this is really important for people who are listening. We feel and we're told that we are products of our genetics, circumstances. Oh, you just kind of had this thing, who knows why. But as we did the emotional and spiritual work, what did you discover was the root cause of the ulcerative colitis and what you were experiencing?
A lot of emotional trauma. A lot. Things from my childhood, things from my family members, and things that I experienced that I didn't even remember I experienced, that I was able to sort of remember while we were doing the meditations and the sessions and stuff. And I realized that ironically enough, I was holding a lot of that in my stomach. Because I remember you would ask me the question, like, where do you feel this? And every emotion, I would always feel it in my stomach. Like, it would just hurt. And I was like, well, this makes sense. I'm like keeping everything bottled up inside. And there's all these things that I'm not targeting and that I'm not accepting and that I'm not really like actually going within to look at these emotions and heal them. And I think that was such an important step.
And had you considered that connection before, that emotions affect the physical body to that degree?
So I've always been a very spiritual person, and I've always been very like, positivity and the mind and body and soul connection. But I never really knew enough about the connection between emotions and health and emotions and your physical body until obviously I started doing these sessions with you guys. And then I started learning so much about the actual connection between your emotions and your body and how certain things make you feel a certain way and how important it is for you to deal with those things as opposed to just like bottle them up inside.
Wow. And maybe you could tell people who maybe don't know, you had an amazing story. I mean, coming here as an immigrant, being young, having to support your family by pursuing your passion. I mean, this is all really, people see Emily, oh, she's made it, right? But you went through a lot. Maybe you could just briefly take people on that journey and what you experienced maybe with the relationships in your life that created that trauma, because I know there's a lot of people who can relate.
And now how it's come full circle.
Yeah, of course. I think for me, I had sort of like a rough childhood growing up because of, problems with my parents and with my family. And I grew up in Dominican Republic. I was born and raised there. And then my mom and I decided to come to the States to pursue acting. And obviously it was a very rough time because we came here with no documents. We came here with no like immigration status whatsoever, with no money at all. So there was a lot of financial burden. There was a lot of emotional burden, and it was just like a lot. And yeah, by the grace of God and the universe and us working hard and persevering and trying to change our mindsets at the time, a lot of things started working out in our favor. Thank God.
Mm-hmm. And so come to this state, it's almost like, and we see this as a theme with everybody, you got to a place where you've manifested a certain level of success, let's just say, right? But your body was bringing you back saying, hold up, I'm going to give you this issue if you don't address these other things, right? So what was that like, learning about the messages in the body, the messages of spirit? Because there was some deep work where we were working in almost like the quantum field, let's just call it. And what was that experience like? What did you learn there?
It's crazy because obviously I was able to sort of like bring myself to this point in my life, but then I didn't realize how many other things I still needed to work on. Because in my mind, I was like, okay, my career is going great. I'm trying to have like a better relationship with certain family members, and I'm trying to love myself more and all of these things. But I didn't really realize how much my past emotions that I wasn't addressing were affecting me until I started doing this with you guys. And it's crazy because we keep so much in our subconscious mind that maybe we don't think about it every single day, or maybe it's not like something we think about every second, but it's there and it is so damn present. And you don't realize that until you're doing these sessions and you're crying for 2 hours because of something that you thought didn't bother you. And that's when I realized, okay, hold up. There is a lot that I need to heal. And you can tell the difference. As soon as you start releasing those emotions, you can just feel like this weight lifted off your shoulders. And it's so beautiful.
Wow. And I commend you for doing the work. And I'll just say, you cleared a lifetime worth of negative programming and trauma in just a few weeks.
You literally came out of the hospital. For everyone listening who says that they don't have time, Emily came out of the hospital after being there for 20-something days, full on sat in 2-hour healing sessions every single day for 4 weeks.
No,
once a week for 4 weeks, sorry. Yeah. And showed up. But not only showed up, you cleared so much physical trauma, mental and emotional trauma. your family lineage. You broke the cycle for everyone. You did so much ancestral clearing as well. So I'm just so proud of you. And you are such a prime example, and clearing it at such a young age. At 22, people wait so long, and they hold all of this inside of them for so long. And now you're just flying full color. She has a movie coming out tomorrow with Nicolas Cage. What's it called? Willy's
Wonderland.
I'm so excited. I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you.
And so how has this transpired in the physical and in the manifestations around you after doing this work?
It is all connected, is what I've realized. Because as soon as I started clearing all of these emotions, I started developing a better relationship with my dad after I started clearing so many emotions towards him. Like, I talk to him almost every day now, which is
really
crazy, because that is a huge thing for me. I definitely removed a lot of toxic people from my life, whether it was relationships or friends. Like, I literally came out of this. I felt like I went to rehab. Like, I literally felt like I went to like a beautiful spiritual rehab.
Yes.
And came out of there, like, left all the drugs in there. Because I just came out of this process with so much clarity, and that reflected on my relationships and friendships and in my work. And I have a lot of amazing things happening in my work life right now, and everything is just great. My family relationships as well, and my health feels so good, and I just feel awesome. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
So
Thank
beautiful.
you. And to anybody who's listening to this that might be considering either doing the work or joining our community, what would you say to them if they have any reservations, or they're curious as if this might be a good thing for them?
I would say to listen to everything we just talked about. I think that if you have any reservations or any doubts, you need to just put all that aside and understand the power that we have to heal ourselves once we are put in the right state of mind, and once we are put in the right programs, and once we're put with the right people that will be able to help us do that. And it is so important, because I feel like a lot of people don't want to address certain things because they don't realize how important it actually can be, and how this reflection will literally help the rest of your life. And I would just say that they need to go for it. Just try it. Even if you just do a call with you guys or something, like, just try it, because that's what I did. And as soon as I did that call with you, I was literally telling Alexander like things that I had never even spoken out loud the first time we talked to each other. And I was crying, and I was like, hold on a second. How did we do this? So yeah, it's a wonderful experience, and it's very worth it, and it's something that I recommend everybody does, because it'll literally change your life.
Wow. Sister, we love you so much. Thank you for your integrity. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for doing the work and for healing yourself. And now, thank you for shining that light, because I know that this is what it's all about, is you can now shine and share your gifts even more radiantly with the world. So we're all blessed and excited to receive what you've got.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was super blessed to meet you guys, seriously.
And for anybody who's wanting to learn more, just click the link below this video here, or here, wherever it shows up, and you can learn about what we do. Thank you. Cut.